Hi folks, Dr. Bob McCauley, The Root Cause, a must-see documentary. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button so you don't miss any of my health updates. The Root Cause, it was on Netflix. It's a documentary. It is going to be the next What the Health as far as the impact on this. Absolutely amazing documentary showing the connection between the teeth and the rest of the body, all our organs, everything that goes on. They have some absolutely amazing statistics they drop in this thing. One of them was 95% of all women that have had breast cancer have had breast cancer on the same side of the body that they had a root canal. That's an amazing statistic.
What if I could tell you that 98% of women that have breast cancer have a root canal tube on the same side as their breast cancer?
For 95% of all dentists and physicians do not understand this issue because they have avoided the study of this important research that's been available literally for over 100 years.
95%, and they just knock these out one after another. These really, 95 plus statistics about people who have root canals and have had problems, in their body, how it screws up the enzymes in your body. And of course, what you're doing with a root canal is you're closing off that area. You kind of do the root canal and then you close it off so that the immune system of the body can't get at it and kill the bacteria, so it just sits there and festers.
The vast majority of chronic degenerative diseases begin with problems in the mouth.
Unfortunately, the dental schools look at the mouth as being a mannequin and that you can do any type of procedure without any direct impact on the rest of the body, but this is the farthest thing from the truth.
What happens is you've got this this bacteria that just sits in there, and then it gets closed off from the rest of the body.
And it's bad enough that you have these morphic bacteria, but what happens is that these bacteria produce toxins, and these toxins can be released every time you chew. So what many people fail to realize is that a root canal tooth has no fluid circulating through it. But the maze of these tubules, these 3 miles of tubules, remains, these accessory tubules. So these anaerobic bacteria that live there, they're remarkably safe from any antibiotics. You cannot kill them with even IV antibiotics.
There's no branch of medicine that exists where a dead organ is left in, except in dentistry where a root canal is left in. If you think that you can get away with an infected, toxic tooth and not have a systemic consequence, I think you're deluding yourself.
How are you going to treat that if you have had a root canal? Well, you listen to the end of the video here, and I'm going to give you my solution to it. And what I love about this documentary is that there's full of medical doctors in the documentary. Dr. McCauley is in it, several other medical doctors, researchers. So it gives this, patina of, authenticity from the medical establishment. There's a lot of people, I've had a couple of root canals myself, and I shot out an email to my dentist asking him about this documentary. Have not heard back yet. But when you really see how damning this is toward root canals, this is really going to end this industry, my prediction, because you see what's going on here. Years ago, I've had 2 root canals. I was going to get one more, and right before I got it, I ran into somebody who says you really don't want to do that because the anaerobic bacteria gets caught in there, and it gets sealed off, and it's really, really bad for your body. Now, at the time, I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting, so I opted not to get that. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. That was a really good decision on my part, and I'm glad I got that little piece of advice from that guy. One of the things I really love about this documentary is that it shows the incredible connectivity between the entire body. Everything is connected. The teeth are so important. We think about all they do is chew up our food and that's the end of it. They're doing a lot more things there. They really are connected to the rest of the body. It's very, very important. That's why people laugh at me when I start talking about iridology and everything that happens inside your body getting reflected in the eyes. And people just scoff at this. It's just nonsense. Well, it's been proven over and over and over again. If you don't want to look at the truth, go ahead and just ignore it. If you don't want to use it as a diagnostic tool, fine, go ahead. But what medical science is finding out here more and more is that, you know, you've got to look at the body holistically and quit saying, hey, there's a heart and we're just going to deal with this heart, because when you affect one area, it's like those whack-a-moles. You touch this area and this area comes up. You hit this area over here and this area come up over here. And the body is all interconnected. It's you know, you've heard of reflexology. This is, you know, your feet and your hands. It shows the entire body. Again, you know, medical doctors sit around and just chuckle about this stuff. Oh, it's just, that's nonsense. They don't want to really look and see that the body is far more complicated than they want to give it credit for. And they get into their science, they get into their medical procedures, and they forget about the rest of the body and how it works all together. You know, and you can't just take one part of the body and cut it off from the rest and expect it to keep functioning.
Because every year in the United States alone, 25 million root canals are done. And nearly every dentist and physician is oblivious to the serious potential health risk that this operation produces. Suffered with really severe acne, chronic severe cystic acne that I tried everything for. It wasn't getting better. And the moment I had that tooth removed, the acne disappeared. It is mechanically impossible in this process to actually sterilize a root canal tooth. And that's what most dentists believe, that you can physically sterilize it because there's no way for those antibiotics to reach them. The pioneer in this work, in the toxicity of root canals, was actually done by Mayo Clinic and Dr. Weston Price. And this was done, they did this jointly back in about 1910.
The most universal disease in the world is the decay of the teeth. And unfortunately, we have not known the cause until we've gone to the primitive people to find how they prevent tooth decay. Our difficulty is that we are adding too much white flour and sugar and do not get enough of the foods that carry the minerals and vitamins. When the primitive people adopt the food of modern civilization, their teeth decay just as ours do.
Then one day, he recommended that a woman who had been wheelchair-bound for about 6 years, that he recommended that she had her root canal tooth extracted, even though it looked fine. He then removed the tooth from the woman, and he actually implanted it under the skin of a rabbit. And interestingly, the rabbit developed this similar crippling arthritis, and actually in about 10 days the rabbit died. But even more profoundly important is that the patient had a spontaneous remission and her crippling arthritis resolved.
People come to me from time to time and they say, you know, I've had my gallbladder removed. You know, I mean, what should I do now? I don't, you know, at that point, you've taken out an organ. I mean, you didn't, you know, I know why they did it. My thyroid, could this kelp extract that you have will help with your thyroid? Well, you have lost your thyroid. So when the medical industry goes and starts removing parts of the body, in general, this is a big mistake. Now, they're doing it because maybe it's cancerous or something like that. But when you start doing something like that, taking out the thyroid, taking out the gallbladder, doing these gastric bypasses where you kind of remove your stomach, you really are screwing around with physiology on a very fundamental level, and that's not going to be the same human body. The Root Cause, this is a documentary on Netflix. You're really going to like this a lot. It is going to be the next What the Health, that documentary that really slammed all these vegans coming out and basically showing the medical industry that, you know, if you don't eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, you become a vegan, you know, that diabetes goes away. They don't want to hear it.
Well, I have an obligation to set the record straight so that people don't die. I'm a physician. I'm a pediatrician. I take care of obesity.
This is the most unscientific discussion I've ever had in my life.
Why don't we get,
am I on the doctors or am I on some kind of show? Seriously, guys, stop for 1 second. That is not science. That's a lie, Travis.
We have causation. This isn't correlation, Dr. Davis. All of your studies that you have mentioned are all correlative, not causative.
No, I've got tons of science to support opinion, but the opinions we put here are unanimous. After reviewing 800 studies, we tell you to only eat 2/3 of a serving of meat a week. In Okinawa, They have 80% of their calories from carbohydrates, 80%.
You were so off on the science, in my humble opinion, because you say sugar doesn't cause diabetes and that carbohydrates don't cause people to be fat, and then you use science and you said that 80% of Okinawans eat rice as their primary carbohydrate. No. That's just not true.
No matter how many studies you want to put out there, they do not want to hear it. That's okay. Same is going to happen with the root cause. There's going to be a lot of dentists out there that do not want to hear that you can't have a root canal or that it's causing these problems in the body, but this is going to shake things up. As promised, my suggestion on what you would do for an abscessed tooth, or in the case you had a root canal and you're not sure what's going on. Well, let me tell you a quick little story. A friend of mine had an abscessed tooth. It was really bothering him. He went to the doctor. He says, well, you're going to have to get a root canal. Better just yank it and put an implant. And he was very nervous about this, did not have any dental insurance. And I said, why don't you try this here, silver, okay? So I gave him, not that much, really. I just gave him probably about a quarter of a bottle, and I told him, you take 1 capful, about a teaspoon, every day. Best time is the first thing in the morning. But you take it and then just make sure it hits your teeth. Well, 1 week later, the abscess was gone. He didn't have any more pain. He hasn't had it worked on. He's been back to the doctor, or the dentist, I should say, a second time, and the dentist says, well, if it's not bothering you, we won't do anything. And this is what I started doing this myself quite a while ago, because I was aware of several issues. Number one, I got meningitis, and when I had a little bit of silver with me, it saved my life. I was in China at the time. I wrote the book, Silver, the Miracle Mineral, the End of Infectious Disease. Because of that, due to that, I just said I got to do this because it was such a miraculous thing that had happened. But I get up every morning, so essentially I take one of these, I hold it in my mouth, and I make sure it kind of hits my teeth and everything, and then I swallow it. I can't tell you, I haven't had a cold in, it's probably be 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years, I couldn't tell you. And I haven't been doing silver the whole time, I can tell you that. But, it's other than the meningitis, and that's when I really learned about it. So I take about a teaspoon every single day, but if you have a root canal, I'd highly recommend it for you. It'll be able to get in there and get into the crevices from this angle, meaning through the mouth, and get down there and get at it and sterilize, what the roots that are still there. That you've had a root canal, you've had that nerve taken out. All those miles and miles and miles of little capillaries are still there. You need to get in, and they're festering, and they're releasing all these toxins into the body. You need to get in there and clear that out. And I think silver, absolutely the best thing to do that with. 1 hit in the morning, a capful, a teaspoon, put it on your teeth. That would be the best thing for you. The Root Cause, incredible documentary. I really highly recommend it. This thing is really going to make a lot of trouble for a lot of people, but I'm glad they made it. Dr. Bob, I'll see you next time. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. It really helps me out. If you get a chance, check out my new book, God's Path to Disease-Free Living, What the Scriptures Tell Us About Health.